But as you know, when you have a vacuum, because there isn't a lot of solid information,
Sure.
all sorts of rumor and speculation fill that vacuum. Can you
Yeah.
understand the frustration and even the fear that many are feeling right now?
Absolutely. Well, I guess just go back. I've been a pilot for roughly, 40 plus years of flying, commercial, et cetera, military, et cetera. And in that course of time, just imagine how much more flying that we're seeing today. And that's gonna become even more as we see flying taxis, if you will, eVTOLs come into market. So our skies are there, they're getting more
Yeah.
crowded.
Okay.
So the FAA and government officials have a handle on all of this. And part of that is
But
just
do
in
they?
terms
We
of
just
how
heard
we
Congress. We
communicate.
just heard one of those congressmen say, "We haven't kept up,
Yeah.
with the explosion in technology and the explosion in the number of things flying around in the sky."
Yeah. I will say that while the public may not think about that on a daily basis, and suddenly you see lights in the sky, but I will say that the FAA and others, we have indeed kept pace, right? We know what's in the NAS. As people buy drones, whether it's certainly for commercial use, all those are registered. And we expect that people operate those in accordance with FAA guidelines. The FAA has put out a lot of guidance about how one should operate a quote unquote a
Yeah, the rules are
recreational
you're
drone.
not supposed to fly your
The rules are
drone
there.
above 400
That's right.
feet. You've got to be
Right.
within sight of your drone that you're operating. You have to be
Yes.
registered. You have to stay
Yeah.
5 miles away from airports and restricted areas. The problem is people think they're seeing something that is not following those rules. The Department of
That's right.
Homeland Security said infrared technology helped identify nearly all of the 5,000
Yeah.
reported drones, but that 100 need further review. What does that mean?
Yeah.
That's still a pretty big number.
Well, you think a big number when you just look at the size of our nation's airspace and where someone is not operating in accordance with rules, whether that be local authorities, whether it be federal authorities, the work is there to be able to go and say, look, if you do something that you shouldn't be doing, meaning you're operating in airspace where you should not be operating, that both the FAA and other authorities will go seek that out, right? That's our expectation, that people will comply and operate by the rules. And where they don't, now there are rules in place, and there are the ability to go and sort of seek that out to make
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
The FBI today is warning people not to take matters into their own hands because it appears
Yes.
perhaps some people aren't following the rules that are in place. If we can't identify every single one of these objects, that means some drone operator hasn't registered. So the FBI is worried now because their pilots, you're a former pilot, have reported, being hit in the eyes with lasers as people on the ground, shine lights up to these objects into the
Yeah.
sky. There might even be a chance somebody, because there's such hysteria building around this, that somebody might try and bring one of these drones down on their own.
Yeah, that's you make an excellent point. And what I would say, if you see a sighting, you think that's something out of the ordinary, the ability to call your local, law enforcement official or call the FAA, that ability to get that information there, that will run it to ground. What I would say, and you talked about it, I'm not going to call it hysteria. What I'll say is that our national airspace, there's more and more operators are operating within that. And the FAA has increased its capabilities in terms of being able to see who all is there. And certainly, part of this is how well we communicate. I think they've done a good job. We just need to continue to do it to assure the public that everything we see out there, somebody knows about it.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't agree that the government's done a good job communicating that kind of thing. Maybe they're catching up to it now. But it
Yeah.
is worth noting, because of your background running the FAA, radar and flight tracker doesn't pick up things below 400 feet. So,
Yeah.
we keep seeing all these videos that people are posting. Oh my gosh, I've seen something, but it's not on my flight tracker, so it must be
Right.
something suspicious. Drones
Yeah.
you cannot see on FAA radar because they're below 400 feet, correct?
Yeah, well, you look, they have the ability to be able to see it, but remember, if suddenly you saw a million drones in addition to all the traffic, that just sort of gums up the radar, right? So that ability to see something, we have specific rules about where drones can operate. That is 400 feet and below, and then you've got commercial operations there. So what we're seeing, again, if you see something truly out of the ordinary or something is
Okay.
operating what you think of as inappropriate, that's the way to follow a report, and let's follow up with that.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.